How do we make sure that good people don't fall through the cracks? And I'm particularly referring to things like in the context of having dyslexia.
All right. So part of the challenge is the first question: good people. The construct of good has changed over time. When I first went into the department, I didn't weigh enough for my height. On the height and weight chart, I was 2 pounds underweight, so the fire department was not going to hire me. So the physician said, "Go over there and drink as much water as you can." I went over, drank as much water, and I made the weight. So thankfully, we've gotten away from that definition of good person. That has nothing to do with height and weight anymore. If you go back even farther than me, James Braidwood, who was the fire chief in Edinburgh, Scotland, in his first book, and he wrote in 1830, he said the best firefighters are carpenters, masons, sailors, and chimney chiefs, and chimney sweeps. So none of us would probably qualify to have been a firefighter in Chief Braidwood's department, because rarely do we already come in being a journeyman at something. When I first joined the fire department, there were no women in the fire service. Now we have women in the fire service. So I think the fire service is just a reflection of the bigger society in terms of what we think good is, or who should have an opportunity to do something. And the idea, something new today that's been around for a while, is this whole subject of neurodiversity, of which dyslexia is one of those issues. I happen to be dyslexic. I think the fire service has a higher percentage of dyslexic than the regular population. In the regular population, it's about 1 in 5 people are dyslexic. I think the fire service is even higher because we attract people that are interested in hands-on psychomotor training. And we've all admitted that we learn best that way, and virtual reality is probably the second best way because we can see it. And so I think we will naturally start to adapt the stuff that's already available out there for more people to be part of us. Because some of our rules and regulations that we keep supposedly good people out aren't based on science and research. We just make stuff up. I had a student at the fire academy that wanted to be a career firefighter, but he was told he couldn't because he only had monocular vision. He had 2 eyes, but he could only really see out of one eye. The other eye wasn't working properly. And they said, well, if you don't have binocular vision, you can't effectively place the tip of a ladder on a building. That's why they told him he couldn't be a firefighter. Well, he forced the fire department to set up an experiment where he proved to them that he could set a ladder on a building, an air ladder, just as well as somebody with 2 eyes. So they had to go back and change the standard. So that keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. I think earlier on, when the folks were talking about the new digital reality, I think virtual reality and artificial intelligence will open up what we do to more and more people. So maybe in the future, the smartest person on the fire apparatus won't necessarily be the person that can physically do the job, but the IT person that can find the schematic online, how to do the job, and which button to push to solve the problem. Because presently, we don't have that. We'll show up at an incident and be completely blind to what's in front of us, what's inside the building, what's on side Charlie. And I think the new technologies will help new kinds of people be able to do the job better. So there's a little discussion. It's always figuring out what do we mean by best, and other occupations are doing a better job of that. So we need to go do some benchmarking to make sure we are getting the best people, and we don't have these abstract ideas in terms of what best means. So I'll be quiet now. Go ahead, Paul.
Really interesting. I say I've got no really expertise in this area, but my son's dyslexic and he's just joined the fire service. But I'm absolutely fascinated when you said it, when kind of to join the fire service. I've been in 32 years, and when I joined, there was a maximum height limit, a lower height limit. If you were wearing glasses, that was it. You just couldn't get in the job. If you were accepted in the job and had been in the job for years, if you needed glasses, you were pensioned off. So we were losing so many good people because of old-fashioned, I would say not values, but old-fashioned kind of rules of what a firefighter was perceived to be. We're now very, very, very kind of aware of our community, and our service has to represent our community. And we have an EDI manager, an equality, diversity, inclusion manager, and our fire service needs to represent the communities we serve, whether it's race, sexual orientation, disabilities. We need to represent that. And I love the bit where you say the person making the decisions, perhaps don't need to be able to be in that place set on or hold a hose, because they've got other skill sets. And I find that with my son, he found it very difficult to get into the job because of his learning, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia. So, his kind of understanding the words and numbers was very difficult, and he had to work very, very hard to get through the selection process. And I'm so proud of watching him going through his 2-year apprenticeship now. He puts me to shame because he studies and studies and studies, because we got to look at his learning is different to most other people's. He'll look at something and someone will demonstrate something, but they'll need to demonstrate it 2, 3, 4 times for him to remember it, and then he'll learn by repetition. And once he's learnt it, he'll never forget it. And that's the correct way of doing it. And I think, we just have to be very, very wary that we don't let kind of good quality potential firefighters slip through the net. Again, if I go back when I joined, there was an age limit. 30 was the age limit to join. If you've been in the forces, it was 35, because they see you're disciplined, you can prove you can take instruction, just because you've been in the forces. We did like to take tradespeople, electricians, plumbers, brick builders, because we thought they'll be good with tools, good with the hands, and that's what we wanted. But 32 years ago, perhaps yes, but in a modernised fire service, we've got to be open to all. We have our selection process, and we have job-related tests, which are now far more in line with what we do as firefighters, and people have to pass that. Everyone passes the same. And we're now finding that our service is far more representative. We've got far more kind of female firefighters, which is a fantastic addition. They do exactly what we do. We've got some skills they haven't, and we have just because of kind of our makeup. And I just think it's great. Should have been doing some filming last week, and our crew was made up of females and people from ethnic backgrounds, which is a fantastic representation of what we got. So I believe we need to be all inclusive, and we have got policies in place now for that. Dyslexia, because I keep going back to that because of my son. We have dyslexia awareness courses for everyone in the service. Crew and watch managers, like junior managers, they're trained to kind of identify if people have got dyslexia. They need extra time. If there's tests, they should be given more time. If they have problems with the reading, they'll have someone who will explain the questions. I know my son, if the question's worded wrong, he won't understand it. He may know the answer, but he won't understand what you're asking for, so it needs to be reworded. And I think we're putting all that in place now, which kind of makes me pleased, because we're opening up the service now to a lot of people who would make fantastic firefighters who previously wouldn't have that opportunity.
And I got to give credit to the UK. They are leading the way worldwide in terms of doing exactly that. And on top of that, I would give credit to Made by Dyslexia, which is a UK foundation that is leading the way globally. So congratulations to the UK for dragging the rest of us kicking and screaming into the 21st century about neurodiversity.
I think so.
So we can all learn from you folks.
I think it's all about sharing best practice. I'm a massive believer. Everything we've done in virtual reality, we share it with other services. If you want it, we'll give it you. We don't sell it, we share. Because
along those lines, Paul, what I would say is, because you have a great case study in terms of your son. So you and he could start documenting all the kinds of things that he's going through to show how the service has changed and made it better, and how they've helped him. So if you're willing to do that, I mean, that's what it's about. Success breeds success.
Yeah.
So if you share your story as a training guy, here's a new experience for this young man coming into the discipline. This is how we adjusted ourselves so we could get the best.
Yep.
And that would be a great case study and a great contribution that's very unique to you, that a lot of us can learn from.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll have a chat with him. I know he's very he doesn't like people he doesn't like people knowing.
I know.
And I've tried to get him to go back to his old school and speak to the people there and say, look, you look what I can achieve. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve what you like in this world. It's having the belief, and if you get the odd knock back, then so be it. You pick yourself up and go again, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
I'll make sure that Debbie gets me your email address so I can send you the article I wrote about my experience when I came out of the closet. And because that's what you have to do. It's like coming out of the closet and saying, I've had this and I've succeeded. So we need to start doing that earlier and earlier in our careers. Yeah,
but we found with now having the dyslexic courses and awareness courses that like you said, we found a lot of people in the service are dyslexic, and they were kind of in the 40s and 50s and completely unaware.
Right.
I will share those details afterwards, because I have my son and my husband both have dyslexia, and I've played the video that Burt has produced for them, particularly for my son, to kind of exactly that. He used to try and hide it or think he was stupid, to kind of understand that it's not a barrier. The amount of tears we've had because he's worried he will be unemployed one day. So
tell him he won't be. He won't be.
I think he'll probably be a billionaire knowing his brain, but that's all good. Right, we're gonna move.